What you wanna do? You wanna get down?
What is happening? I hope you are doing well. I am back this week. I know it's been a little minute. Whilst I've been gone, I have been working on my brand new ebook, which is called Home Cooked Wonders. In my opinion, this ebook features some of my best, most delicious, incredible recipes to date, and I honestly mean it when I say it, that these recipes are going to blow your mind. Home Cooked Wonders was birthed from my transition from a fully, quote-unquote, fully plant-based approach to food to now what I like to call a very non-restrictive, go with the flow, eat what makes me feel good, eat what makes me happy, don't put myself in any box type of approach. The dishes that you're about to see can be found in my brand new ebook, so head over to my website to go and check out Home Cooked Wonders along with all my other ebooks. So let's go head to the kitchen, let's go cook, let's go. So the first recipe taken from my brand new ebook, I am so excited for this one. This has been a constant in my kitchen, okay? It's a roasted beetroot and carrot lentil goat cheese salad. We're gonna whip up an orange and balsamic dressing. Sounds a little bit complex, but you're gonna see in simple steps how I put this together. It is incredible. I'm sure everyone who tries this is going to love it. So for the base of this recipe, we are going to be using some lentils. Now I chose to use some pui lentils. If you've got black or brown lentils on hand, they would work just as well, I imagine. So we're also going to be using some juicy sun-dried peppers. You could definitely use sun-dried tomatoes if they are easier to get hold of. But yeah, we're going to chop these up. They're going to mix in with the lentils, and we're also going to be throwing in lots of fresh herbs like mint and parsley. So I'm going to be roasting up some seasonal vegetables. Right now, carrots and beets are doing it for me. So that's what I have on hand. That's what I'm going to be using. Obviously, you can adapt it depending on what time of the year it is. So the simple dressing for this salad includes ingredients like orange. We're going to be using the juice of an orange. We're going to be using some balsamic vinegar. So the couple of elements for me that just take this salad to a whole nother level, in my opinion, is the use of goat's cheese. We're going to use a little bit of goat's cheese, and I'm also going to toast and roast up some really, really delicious pecans. They're going to be crunchy. They're going to have texture. So yeah, I began by taking my soaked lentils and I gave them a good wash and a good rinse. We are then going to place them into a saucepan. Now, at this point, we want to get the flavors going. We want to lock some flavor into these lentils. So I'm going to cook them down using some stock. I've got some garlic cloves and I've also got some bay leaves. And I'm also, of course, going to be adding a little bit of sea salt and black pepper because that's just a must. If you're working with soaked lentils, you're going to see how quick they're going to cook. So keep an eye on them. You don't want them mushy and soft, but you do want them cooked. So yeah, keep an eye on the lentils, cook them down. And if you're like me and you've got a little bit of excess water or stock, you can drain that off because you definitely won't be needing any liquid within this recipe. I sliced up the sun-dried red peppers. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're working with sun-dried tomatoes, perfect. They will work just as well. And I finally chopped up, releasing all the flavor from these fresh herbs. In a mixing bowl, I placed in the cooked lentils, the sun-dried red peppers, the fresh herbs, the red onion. The next step is to prepare the dressing, which is so simple. 5 ingredients. We're going to be using some extra virgin olive oil, preferably a good quality, yummy tasting olive oil. We're going to be adding in some balsamic vinegar, along with some Dijon mustard, the juice from a fresh orange, some sea salt, and some black pepper to taste. And we are going to whisk everything together. You can make a large amount of this dressing if you want to keep some in the fridge. Like I always say, it's always good to have like a little dressing on hand. This is so yummy, so simple, and so delicious. So I went ahead and drenched, absolutely drenched, poured all of that dressing all over those lentils, gave it a really, really good mix, making sure everything was well flavored, well combined. As you can see, I was pouring over more because I can't get enough of this dressing. It's so delicious. And what's really great is that the lentils will actually soak all of the juiciness up. So yeah, it won't be like soggy or anything like that. It will be perfect. I gave it a little bit more sea salt and probably a little bit more black pepper, I could imagine. Maybe I didn't get on camera, but yeah, flavored it up, seasoned it up to suit my palate. So for the roasted vegetables, I grabbed my carrots. These carrots needed a little peel, so I gave them a peel. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And I also peeled the beetroot too, and I chopped everything kind of like evenly so it will cook at the same rate. And then I gave it some sea salt, some black pepper, some olive oil, and some cumin seeds as well. So yeah, we're gonna place our vegetables to roast until they are roasted and looking something delicious like this. When you get like the real carrots and the real beetroots, the local stuff, oh, you just can't compare with the taste. If there's anything that I get excited about, kind of the seasons changing, going into the colder months, are these warming, deep, rich, delicious, insulate you from the inside out type vegetables. I also toasted these pecans. You could use whatever nuts you enjoy. I love pecans because I love pecans with goat's cheese. So I simply toasted those, chopped them up, and then it was time to put this incredible salad together. So I grabbed some greens from the fridge. I had some watercress on hand. You could use some rocket, followed on by those lentils, which were just oozing with flavor, as you can see. I then grabbed those divine roasted vegetables. Look at the edges on these. I love a golden tint on carrots, and those beetroots, those deep earthy beetroots, just, yeah, they do something to me. Crumbled over some goat's cheese. Feta would work really, really well for this recipe. And then I threw on those toasted pecans, which had been roasted, so the oils were running through them, and the flavors with the goat's cheese, absolutely incredible. I then gave the salad a little bit more extra dressing and some cumin seeds, and when I tell you, I've already told you, but I'll tell you again, this salad, I mean, if you want a full-bodied salad, like no wimpy, wispy salad, you want the real deal salad, try something like this. Try roasting up some vegetables that you have. Try giving it a base of something delicious like chickpeas or lentils, and then crumbling over something creamy just to tie everything together like that goat's cheese. Honestly, deep, satisfying, hearty salads is what it's all about. It's what it's all about right now. Yeah. So moving on, we have got a grilled vegetable shakshuka. I love a shakshuka, especially on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. It's like the perfect brunch. Simple to whip together. You can bend and break the rules so it suits your taste, what you enjoy. You can get really, really creative with a recipe like this. So the extra element that I've added to this shakshuka is obviously these grilled vegetables. So I chose to use an aubergine, a courgette, and a red pepper. Of course, the main element of a shakshuka are the eggs, which are going to get cracked into that rich tomatoey sauce, and then we're going to bake it. So for our rich tomatoey sauce, we are going to be using some tinned tomatoes, and then we're going to be adding lots and lots of different spices, including cumin. We've got some paprika, some chili flakes. We're going to be using some onions, some garlic, a jalapeno just to give it that extra edge and that extra spice. So I began by chopping up my vegetables, which included slicing the aubergine into half moon type pieces, followed on by chopping up the courgette in a similar way. I then simply sliced my red pepper, throwing everything into a large mixing bowl, and I mixed it with some olive oil and some sea salt. So I grabbed and heated the large griddle pan, and I placed those vegetables on, and I griddled them on each side. This really does intensify the flavor of vegetables, and I find that this step just makes this dish more delicious. But of course, if it's too time consuming or you don't have a griddle pan, you could definitely just kind of pan fry them if you're using vegetables in a shakshuka. Oh, you could also roast them as well beforehand if that's a step that you want to do. So I followed on by slicing up that onion and finally chopping up all of that garlic. Then chopped up the jalapeno, using the seeds sparingly because they are spicy. So, you know, I grabbed my heavy base pan, throwing in a little bit of olive oil, and I placed in my chopped onions, followed on by the garlic and the jalapeno, and I mixed everything well, just stirring everything on a low to medium heat. I then seasoned everything up with some sea salt, some black pepper. I threw in the cumin seeds, the chili flakes, along with the other seasoning, and just mixed everything down. The onions, garlic, and chili had cooked down along with the spices. I then threw in those tinned tomatoes, turning the heat up a little bit so everything can kind of combine and get really, really tasty and yummy and delicious and cook all the way through. The tomato sauce might thicken up a little bit, in which case I love to add a little bit of water, just a touch of water, just to kind of thin everything out. I then went and placed in those grilled vegetables, followed on by some fresh parsley, which I just chopped up. So in order to make this shakshuka a shakshuka, we need to crack the eggs in. So using the back of a spoon, I just made a little hole in each area, as you can see, and I fitted as many eggs as I could, and that was 4 eggs. So yeah, I placed the eggs in, and then I placed the whole pan into a preheated oven of around 180 degrees for around 13 to 15 minutes. So yeah, I topped the shakshuka with some feta cheese, some chopped cherry tomatoes, some fresh parsley, black pepper, gave it a drizzle of olive oil, and I devoured this. If you want to leave the dairy out in either of these recipes, of course you can. These recipes are for you to adapt, to make your own. So when I tell you I devoured this shakshuka, I love getting a chunky piece of bread and dipping it in that rich, tomatoey, heavenly sauce, along with the runny egg yolks and all of those spices and flavors. Just yes, this is the one. Let me know if you try out either of these ideas. As I mentioned previously, both recipes can be found within my new ebook, so head over to my site and go and check that out. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning back in. I know it's been a minute, and I will see you guys soon. See you all soon.